Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom. Today we are going to talk about modern feminism and how it has actually devolved into an anti-women ideology. Let's get right into it. Study after study in the modern world has shown that women are increasingly unhappy. In one study, economists Betsy Stevenson and Justin Wolfers analyzed the happiness trends of U.S. citizens between 1970 and 2005. They discovered that American women rated their overall life satisfaction higher than men in the 1970s. Thereafter, women's happiness scores decreased while men's scores stayed roughly stable. By the 1990s, women reported that they were less happy than men. Of course, women had made great strides in women's rights between 1970 and 1990, which is a great thing. The argument I'm going to make is that the culture pushed by feminists is what actually hurts women. Another study found that psychological distress in women aged 16 to 24 is at an all-time high, with record numbers admitting to harming themselves to relieve their distress. Experts say young women are now a high-risk group and point to links between mental illness, violence, or sexual abuse, and possible pressures from the rise of social media. This has prompted calls from researchers for more funding to protect the nation's mental health. Yeah, because more funding is what's going to help. The Adult Psychiatric Morbidity Survey of Mental Health and Well-Being, carried out every 7 years across England, reveals soaring rates of mental illness among young women, who are suffering from a wide range of common mental health problems, including depression and anxiety. Statistics from NHS Digital show that more than 1 in 4 women aged 16 to 24 reported symptoms of common mental health conditions the previous week. 25% of women aged 16 to 24 reported mental health problems, a rise from 21% when the study was carried out in 2007. Young women were 3 times as likely as men to report such symptoms, with rates of 9% of young males of the same age bracket. So lately we've seen the big push has been the Me Too movement, which of course has been hijacked by the feminists following the whole Harvey Weinstein revelations and everyone in Hollywood being outed as a serial sexual abuser or a pedophile. So let's talk about the Me Too movement and modern feminism and how it all ties together. So modern feminism promotes working for corporations, putting off family, and sexual liberation. Now, of course, it's great. Women should have the choice to get an education and to work for corporations, and I fully support that. The issue isn't that feminism promotes women getting educations and striving to have careers. The problem is that women who choose to get married at a young age and raise families are culturally condemned. Early marriage is portrayed by popular culture as a bad thing, a mistake that will be regretted. It will prevent you from having experience in the world, prevent you from following passion and having a successful career. And to go along with this, there's this myth that's propagated by Hollywood, by social media, by the universities, that it's somehow glorious to work for a corporation, when men will tell you that's the furthest thing from the truth, that corporations in general don't appreciate their workers, that you spend 8 to 10 hours a day, possibly 40, 50, 60 hours a week away from your family, not doing what you want to do, often in a cubicle, and you're not really appreciated, and at the end of 40 years, you get a wristwatch and a kick on the ass on the way out the door. Not exactly glorious, but this is propagated as being glorious, while women who have children at a young age, who get married, are often condemned and told that they won't get to experience life, as if having children isn't the greatest experience in life. Just ask any parent. And of course, raising a family and having children is the most biologically and evolutionary honest choice a woman can make. Women have a predisposition to want to have children. Yet culture is telling them that they should reject this natural urge, which is the most natural and beautiful thing in the world. I mean, what is more beautiful than motherhood? And of course, motherhood is the choice that empowers all of society, because children who come from two-family homes and children who have strong mothers are more likely to be successful. A recent study founded by the Economic and Social Research Council looked at long-term adult couple relationships based upon online surveys. Almost 5,000 participants answered. The study showed that when it comes to happiness with life, those who say they are happier include all parents, people who are married, mothers, those with more education, and those who are religious. And of course, there's also this myth propagated that if you have children, you can't get an education and have a career, and this is the furthest thing from the truth. Even my own personal experience, my mother, I'm the youngest of 4 children, and she put off college. She dropped out of school when she was 19 years old, got married, and by the time I was in middle school, she decided to go back to college. She got a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and wound up with a very successful career, a very successful family, and she's one of the happiest people you'll ever meet. So, of course, you could have children and you could have an education and have a career. Of significance, according to this study, parents score slightly higher on the happiness with life than childless participants. In addition, mothers reported to be significantly happier with life than any other group. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to find out that children make mothers happy. According to another study, Enduring Love, Couple Relationships in the 21st Century, published by the Open University in Britain, it found that women without children said they were the least happy with life overall. So we have women with children report to be the happiest, and women without children report to be the least happiest with life overall. But of course, modern culture doesn't promote getting married and having children. Instead, it promotes promiscuity. And historically speaking, women have always been the gatekeepers of sex, right? I mean, any time in history, men were always just trying to bang everything with legs, for lack of a better term, but women were the gatekeepers. And there was a multitude of reasons for this. Of course, men could always leave, and of course, the dangers of having a child outside of wedlock, because if that happens and the man leaves, that leaves a woman in a very poor position. Her parents would have to take care of her, and it's harder to find a suitable mate because having a child outside of wedlock hurts sexual market value. One, it has negative effects on a woman's body, and 2, a boy is not going to want to take care of some other man's child. So he sees a child, that's a big red flag, runs away. Now, of course, the welfare state has artificially taken away some of these consequences. So instead, the welfare state, it actually promotes promiscuity, because if a woman has a child outside of wedlock, the government will step in and become daddy. So, of course, this lessens the pressure from parents, because now parents know that they don't have to take care of the child should a woman get pregnant outside of wedlock. Prior to that, they would put a lot of pressure on a girl, make sure you don't get pregnant, because if you do, we're going to have to take care of you. So, because of this, sex before marriage was culturally condemned. Now, I'm not saying that people should wait till marriage. There is, I think, a benefit, actually, of having sex before marriage, because you want to make sure that you are completely compatible with whoever you're going to spend the rest of your life with. But what modern culture promotes is promiscuity. I mean, if you turn on a TV show, you hear it all the time. It's your third date. Are you going to have sex? Your third date, you just met this person. You're not making them prove that they respect you, that they like who you are, that they appreciate your intellect, that they're interested in your ethics and your morals, and the things that guide you as a person, because that's what real compatibility is. So this culture of promiscuity actually hurts women more than anyone else by the men that it creates. So what does it do to men? Modern culture makes sleeping with women easy. The pussy gates are open, and all men are running through as fast as they can. So let's compare this to the traditional model. Women were less promiscuous because sleeping around was condemned and lowered perceived sexual market value. It was more difficult for men to jump from girl to girl. The pussy gates were well guarded by cultural expectations. A woman wouldn't want to be called a slut. She wouldn't want to be called a whore. So cultural expectations frowned upon sleeping around before marriage, and this made it harder to sleep with a woman without first making an honest woman of her. Conversely, men had cultural expectations to be honest to a woman and to be honest to a woman and to marry her before having sex with her. And this was incentivized a large part by sex, right? Men want sex. If you have to get married to get it, then they're going to get married. And women want to be respected, so they make a man date her for 6 months, a year. They get married. And now this creates a different cultural expectation. Men were expected to resume the traditional masculine role, to be faithful, to have children, to work and provide for a family. This created a cultural expectation of chivalry and respect for women, because non-faithful men who do not provide for women were culturally condemned. A man who cheated on his wife would be culturally condemned. But a man was expected to be married. So it's inherent that men were expected to have respect for women. Men were forced to grow up faster as well, to focus on family and focus on providing, which only furthers innovation and better society as a whole. Because there wasn't this expectation that someone else take care of your family. A man who was unable to take care of his family was looked down upon. So if a man had to work one job, a man had to work 2 jobs, that's what he did. And this isn't glorious. It's that a man worked as a provider to protect and care for his family, because it's what the traditional masculine role expected. To respect your wife, to respect your children, and to honor them with your hard work. And let's compare that with men today. Because today, 30-year-old men are as mature as 18-year-olds were generations ago. Because without the expectation of marriage, men don't grow up. They remain boys. They sleep around and treat women as objects to be conquered rather than looking to marry and settle down. You'll see this in every reality television show you put on. Men aren't talking about getting married. They're talking about being players and sleeping with as many girls as they can. And of course, this is easy because by the 3rd date, women are expected to sleep with them. And then women wonder why they aren't as happy, why they have anxiety, why they have depression, why they feel disrespected by men. Why grow up when the pussy gates are wide open? Modern culture does not condemn promiscuity. It celebrates it. Modern culture incentivizes extended adolescence, because without the responsibility of family, without the cultural expectation of caring for a family, men are less likely to grow up, less likely to work. And then you see more and more men living in their parents' basement who in the past would be considered losers. But this is what you see in modern society, in large part because of pushes from modern feminism and the men it has created. The result is modern feminist culture actually hurts women. It promotes culture where women don't respect themselves. Why would men respect them when they don't respect themselves? Women are pressured to deny their most evolutionarily desirable role to be mothers. Again, that's not saying they can't also work. That's not saying they can't also get an education. These are myths. These are propagated myths. Women are then left vulnerable, and the Harvey Weinsteins of the world prey on single women. Because in the past, Harvey Weinstein would find an angry husband pounding his face in with his fist, or he would see the barrel of a gun if a wife went home and said that Harvey Weinstein treated his wife the way he's treated many of the women he did throughout the years. Modern culture removes men's most natural role as the protector, a role that benefits both man, woman, and the family. Analysis of 10 years worth of findings from the National Crime Victimization Survey, which the U.S. Department of Justice has conducted since 1973, demonstrates that mothers who are or ever have been married are far less likely to suffer from violent crime than are mothers who never marry. Specifically, data from the NCVS survey show that married women with children suffer far less abuse than single mothers. In fact, the rate of spousal, boyfriend, or domestic partner abuse is twice as high among mothers who have never been married as it is among mothers who have ever married, including those separated or divorced. So if you're married, you are half as likely to be victim of violent crime, violent abuse, whether that be getting hit or sexual. Married women with children are less likely to suffer from violent crime, in general, or at the hands of intimate acquaintances or strangers. Mothers who have never married, including those who are single and living either alone or with a boyfriend, and those who are cohabiting with their child's father, are more than twice as likely to be victims of violent crimes than are mothers who have never married. The same is true for children. Children who live with a single parent that has a live-in partner are at the highest risk. So usually that's a single mother with a boyfriend or just guy she's sleeping with, are 20 times more likely to be the victims of sexual abuse than children living with both biological parents. It is statistically undeniable that it is better for women to be married. They are less likely to be abused, and their children are less likely to be abused. And Harvey Weinstein would be punched in the face by a father. He might be met with the barrel of a gun. And what is he going to do? Run to the authorities? And then you're going to say back to the authorities, yeah, well, he tried to rape my wife. He doesn't want that talk. When masculinity is promoted, women are safer. But with men and women separated, women have turned to the state for protection. If Me Too has taught us anything, it is that the state fails in its role as the protector of women. The state hasn't protected women from Harvey Weinstein. Sophist politicians call for the removal of due process as a solution, and they only do this as a deception designed to further empower people like Harvey Weinstein against political opponents. There is no protection like family. There is no protector like a husband or a father. And this is why feminism is pushed from the top down. If you've ever read the Communist Manifesto or any literature in communism, which has greatly infiltrated the progressive movement and the modern left, the destruction of the family is one of the key pillars. And they don't promote it as the destruction of the family. They promote it as women's rights, even though they know it's actually designed to hurt women. And this is what modern feminism does. Politicians know that single women vote for bigger government, with men absent from the role of protector and provider. And that doesn't mean women can't help provide, but it means they should be in stable family units. And of course, if they're not getting married younger, they're not having children younger, and the older a woman gets, the less fertile she becomes. Studies show, here's a study. Starting in 2016, Hillary Clinton prevailed over President Trump by 31 percentage points among unmarried women. 63% of unmarried women voted for Hillary Clinton versus only 32% of unmarried women who voted for President Trump. But married women favored Clinton by only 2 percentage points. So 49% of married women voted for Hillary Clinton and 47% voted for President Trump. I mean, that's a 30-point difference between married women and unmarried women. And this wasn't unique to this election. Similar patterns have been evident in other elections. In 2012, for example, Mitt Romney actually won the vote of married women. Obama received 67% of votes from unmarried women. So Romney won married women, but Obama received 67% of the vote from unmarried women. And of course, the Democratic Party generally promotes the welfare state and bigger government. So they know by pushing feminism that there is power to be had in the breaking up of the American family. And that power goes to big corporations in the state. Because when the family is broken up, it's creating a voting class that's voting for the Democratic Party, that's voting for bigger government. Young women are sold the lie that serving their husbands will make them unhappy, but serving a big corporation will make them happy. Allow me to let you in on a secret that men have always known. The only institution that cares about people less than mega corporations is the state.